Good morning. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. My name is Linda, and I'm just figuring retirement out one day at a time. I'm 67 years old. It is a beautiful, clear Tuesday morning here in Lakeland, Florida. The sun is shining right through the window into my kitchen. I have my coffee mug right here, like always. I want to talk about something that kept me awake for a solid year before I finally stopped working. I retired last year. I had been working for 46 years. 46 years of getting up and having somewhere to be. When you get close to that finish line, everyone wants to talk about the fun stuff. You see the commercials with the sailboats. You hear about having all this free time. But nobody talks about the invisible line you have to cross. The day you stop getting a paycheck, certain doors just lock behind you. Your options change overnight. The bank looks at you differently. The world looks at you differently. If you are living on a fixed income, counting your Social Security and watching your savings, you cannot afford to figure things out after the fact. You have to handle the heavy lifting while you still have an employer on your tax return. Because doing it later is a nightmare. I learned that the hard way. I thought I was ready. I took a Medicare class at the library. I read 3 different books about retirement finances. I understood maybe half of what was in them. But the reality of it is just different. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I did not expect it to feel this weird. You wake up on a Tuesday morning and the paycheck has actually stopped coming. And that feels completely surreal. Not good weird, just weird. You go to the grocery store and realize you are spending a larger percentage of your money than you did last month. You realize you can't just pick up an extra shift to cover a broken water heater. I get overwhelmed by the big financial stuff. I say that openly. I am not going to give you a 5-step system. I am just going to tell you what happened to me and what I figured out. I remember my last day of work so clearly. It was March 31st, 2023. I had been working as a part-time front desk coordinator at a physical therapy clinic. I was there for 4 years. My coworkers got me a grocery store cake to celebrate. It was very sweet. I drove home that afternoon and sat in my backyard. I didn't know what to do next. I was just tired in my bones. I kept saying 2 more years, and then 1 more year, and then I finally just did it. I sat there running the numbers in my head for the 1,000th time. I had them memorized. I had about $310,000 total. That was between my 401k, a small savings account, and my half of the house equity from my divorce. I was looking at a monthly income of about $2,750. That was my Social Security, which I started at 66, and a small pension of $610 a month from my old job at a dental practice back in Akron. Sitting in that chair, staring at my small garden, I realized I had to make that $2,750 stretch for the rest of my life. I was the only one steering the ship now. I had spent 46 years preparing for this, but I still felt like I had missed some crucial steps. So I want to go through 7 things I've noticed, things I wrote down in my little notebook here, things I wish someone had told me to handle while I was still working. The first thing is paying off the big, annoying stuff while the bank still likes you. I paid off my car before I retired. Thank goodness I did. When you are working, if you need a new roof or a reliable car, the bank looks at your steady income and says yes. The minute you retire, you are just a person with a modest savings account. My younger brother Gary calls me every Sunday from Columbus. He is 64 and still working. He is 2 years away from retirement. He asks me questions all the time. I joke that he's my most loyal viewer, even though he's never subscribed. I told him last week to get his house painted and fix his driveway right now. Do it while you have a W-2. Do not wait until you are watching every single dollar. I am watching every dollar. I clip digital coupons. I think twice before eating out. I cannot imagine trying to take on a car payment right now. That was when I figured out that credit is mostly for working people. Retirees are supposed to be done borrowing. My dad, Stanley, was a union worker at a tire plant in Akron. He retired at 62. He spent 14 years fishing, watching the Indians, and puttering around the garage. I think about his retirement a lot now. He made it look easier than it is, but he also didn't have any debt when he stopped working. The second thing is practicing your actual retirement budget. You cannot just guess at this. I thought I knew what I spent. I was wrong. You need to live on your future fixed income for at least 3 months before you quit. Put the rest in savings and see how it feels. I am just going to tell you the real numbers because I think that's more helpful than being vague about it. My grocery bill right now is about $320 a month. That does not go very far anymore. My daughter Shelley lives about 45 minutes away in Tampa. She is a registered nurse. We have lunch every other week. She took me to Publix yesterday. I almost lost my mind looking at the price of laundry detergent. If I hadn't practiced living on a tight budget before I retired, I would be in a full panic right now. Here is my exact math. I bought my house outright for $187,000 in 2021, so I have no mortgage. But I have HOA fees of $210. Utilities are $180. Car insurance is $97. Gas is $60. My phone is $45. Streaming services are $32. Add in the groceries and a little miscellaneous cushion, and my total expenses are around $1,338. That leaves me with around $1,400 a month. I split that between a small savings cushion and actually living my life. Practicing that math beforehand saved me from a lot of tears. Number 3 was a hard one for me. You have to figure out the Medicare puzzle before you are sitting at the deadline sweating. I took that class at the library and I still walked out confused. I don't fully understand why it has to be so complicated, but it is. I pay $194 a month for my Medicare supplement. I am very aware of what Medicare does and does not cover. You cannot wait until your first medical bill arrives to learn the difference between all the parts and plans. You need to pick your plan, understand your drug costs, and lock it down while you still have the safety net of your employer's insurance. That transition period is terrifying if you are flying blind. I remember looking at the paperwork sitting right here on this floral plastic placemat. I haven't replaced this placemat because it still works fine, but I spilled coffee on it trying to read about deductibles. Get it sorted out early. The fourth thing is giving your days a structure before the structure disappears. The first month of retirement was wonderful. The second month, I didn't know what to do with myself. By month 3, I was watching a lot of television and feeling vaguely guilty about it every single day. The days are so long when you are not filling them with someone else's schedule. I missed having somewhere to be. I really did. I found a Tuesday morning walking group at the community center. I started my small garden in the backyard. I made a loose routine, and I am holding on to it like a handrail. You have to decide what a random Tuesday looks like before you get there. Otherwise, Tuesday just turns into a long, quiet afternoon where you wonder what you are supposed to be doing. I am completely unpretentious about this. What you see is what you get. I sit here in my solid colored t-shirt with my hair in a low ponytail. I stopped coloring my hair in 2022 and went fully gray natural. I am comfortable in my body in a way I wasn't in my 40s. But I still need a reason to put shoes on in the morning. Number 5 is having the awkward money conversation with your adult children. You have to do this while you are still working, so it does not sound like a crisis. I have 2 kids. Shelley is nearby, but my son Kevin is 40 and lives in Cincinnati. He is a high school history teacher and JV baseball coach. He calls me once a week, usually while he's driving. He has only visited Florida once since I moved. I am trying not to make him feel guilty about it, and mostly I succeed. I had to sit them both down and explain exactly what my financial reality was going to be. I told them I have enough to be okay, but not enough to bail them out of major trouble. It was a terribly uncomfortable conversation. But that is when I figured out that setting boundaries now prevents resentment later. They need to know you are okay, and they need to know your limits. Shelley's kids are Chloe and Mason. Kevin is married to Amy, and they have Noah and Lily. I see Noah and Lily at Thanksgiving and summer. I talk about all four of my grandkids constantly. I love them to pieces. But I cannot be their emergency fund. You have to say that out loud. The sixth thing is testing your big retirement dream before you commit your life savings to it. A lot of people want to move to Florida. I did it. The move to Florida was mostly about being near Shelley. I moved from Akron to Lakeland in 2021 after 64 years in Ohio. Packed a U-Haul with Shelley's help and cried on the Ohio state line. My older sister Donna still lives in Akron. We talk 2 or 3 times a week. Donna thinks I was crazy to move to Florida. I think Donna should have moved years ago. We argue about this warmly and often, but the point is I tested it out mentally and financially before I pulled the plug on working. I made sure I could handle the distance. You have to know what you are giving up. Try out the reality of your dream before you sell your house and change your residency. Moving is exhausting. I had an apartment in Akron after my divorce. That period was harder than I expected and better than I feared, but this move was permanent. You have to be sure. The final thing I noticed, number 7, is that you have to wean yourself off your work identity. This one caught me completely off guard. I had worked my whole marriage, never stopped. It was just what I did. My ex-husband Bob and I were married for 33 years. We divorced in 2014. He worked in insurance. He is a decent man. We grew apart slowly and then all at once. The divorce was not dramatic. It was just sad in a quiet, tired way. Bob is fine. We just stopped being married, that's all. He remarried in 2019 to a woman named Cheryl. I've met Cheryl twice at the grandkids' events. She is perfectly nice. Bob would probably handle this retirement stuff differently, but Bob and I are not married anymore, so I get to figure it out myself. After the divorce, my job really became my anchor. I was an office manager at a mid-sized dental practice for decades. People needed me. They asked me questions. When I left the physical therapy clinic last year, that completely stopped. It was weird to go to the grocery store on a Tuesday morning and realize nobody was waiting for me anywhere. You have to start finding your identity outside of your job title before you hand in your keys. Start a hobby. Do something where you are just you. I started this YouTube channel in January. Shelley helped me set up the camera. She is mildly embarrassed by how popular it's gotten. Chloe, my 14-year-old granddaughter, told me it was actually kind of cool. I mentioned that in a video and got 40,000 views on that video alone. I didn't understand why and still don't fully understand, but I kept going. I am genuinely curious about my own life now that I have time to look at it. I am not going to tell you it all worked out perfectly. Some months are tighter than others. The quiet of the house at night is still hard sometimes. Some days I wonder what I'm doing. But mostly it is okay. It is more okay than I expected, honestly, and I think that's worth saying. If any of this sounds like your situation, leave a comment. Tell me how you're handling it. Specifically, what is the one thing about retirement you didn't see coming? What is the one task you are dreading? I read all of your comments. I find those more useful than you'd think. Shelley thinks I'm oversharing. Shelley's probably right, but here we are. And if you want more of this, stick around. All right, that's enough from me today. I'll talk to you next week.